Hey guys. Hey Chirpy, Joe, Heron, g'day. Wazza, Mark, Peter Nuttall, Russell Dold, Maddie, g'day. David, hello. Matt, hello. Uh, Not much happening here. It's been raining. Like seriously, for about half hour there, bucketed down like you wouldn't believe. Wet doesn't begin to even describe it. It was like the backyard's like a river. Seriously, down to the creek, down to the river. It's like just so wet, and driveway and everything's like. I stepped out onto the street up there, and it was like a foot of water. So it's wet. It'll dry up by morning, I hope. But we've had a lot of rain. There we go. Hey Paul. Hey John. No, it's like bucketed down there for about half hour. I think just before I got home, and it's I've got a drippy ceiling in the lounge, which means that we've had probably an inch all at once, or a bit more in half hour, and the level in the sewage pipes are getting up towards the bottom of the bathtub. So I'm not really impressed about that either. But hopefully we don't get any more tonight. Anyway, it's wet. So everything's dusty here. Apologise for that. Been doing a little bit of woodwork, a little bit of everything actually, and not so much of anything. What's everyone else been up to? Maddie's got a video out on the tool and cutter grinder project. Looks good. Made a big start on that. If you have a look over on Instagram, John Creasy's got a boiler nearly finished. A really nice little job. Wazza's been messing around with his vehicle. Some new video from Chirp this week, I think. Tommy Gun Machining. Tom's making rotary broaches, which is cool. There's a video from Paul. Didn't see that. Massive learning curve all round, Matt. It's not just there. Oh, and Craig's cleaning out. He's having a purge. Hey, Brendan. Brendan's finished his cylinders. Big congratulations to Brendan. He's finished a couple of locomotive cylinders right this time. Got them good. That's awesome. JB's got framing materials delivered for the new house. That's pretty exciting. Gosh, I'm up with all the gossip. There we go. What have I done? Well, I finished the Land Rover. That's first thing. I'll have a look at that in a minute. But it's not a very good night for running around the backyard with it. So, yeah. And I could only find 3 jack stands, so I don't know where the other one is. I did print 4, and I was going to stick it up here on the jack stands and give it a run, but I don't think that's going to happen either. Sorry. Been messing a bit. Thinking I'm going to buy a bead roller. There we go. There, I've said it. I think bead rollers in my future. And I don't know whether it's worth spending an extra $100 and get one from the machinery dealer, or get one cheap off eBay, or whether I want to. Yeah, I really don't know. If anyone's got any feedback or knowledge on them, let me know. Anyway, that's I've got this. Let's put this crap away. Let's get through this. It's sort of, I don't really want to spend all day talking about that because honestly, no one's particularly interested and there's nothing really to see yet. And yeah, I'm a bit passionate about it, but I don't know if anyone else is. Bill's knife. If anyone's looking for a knife from Bill, hit him up. Discord's the easiest place to find him, or let me know and I'll put you in touch. Yeah, Dale's got an awesome workshop budget. I love that. Look, I was given this. It's a bead roller of sorts, right? It's an edge roller, I guess, or a tube roller. It's probably a tube roller, or it could be, I don't think it's a tube roller, it's a seam finisher of some sort. It's got ducks written here, and ducks make hot water cylinders, so I guess it's probably out of the factory, or it might be part of one of their machines. I don't think it's complete by any means. It's been sitting in the, like, it seems to be missing some parts. If anyone knows what this is, it's got a two-stage handle, so obviously it's meant to, don't know really, it's a bit strange. But this moves like a bead roller or a Jenny, or whatever you want to call it, up and down. This should be some sort of depth stop, I think. This probably should have a return spring or something on it. It doesn't seem to. So, don't know what that is. Whether it's any use in here. It's got a bent screw. It's got a bent Tommy bar in it. And it's not actually bolted onto anything. Those threaded holes aren't threaded, so obviously it's had a couple of bolts or something down into something there. So, don't know. If anyone's got any insight into that, that's great. But in this thin tin, that's, the rollers are nowhere near nice enough to actually put a decent seam in. So I'm not going to adapt it or modify it or mess around. These two rollers have just got pins in here, and it'd be difficult to get them realigned in new ones, new rollers, I think. So it might be a future project, but it's probably going back in the box of junk. There you go. Puts the end on a piece of copper tube to stop the hose falling off. Probably does, Mark. That's probably a pretty fair sort of an observation, to be honest. Morning, Matt. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. Don't know what that is. It's a pretty fair bet that is actually for putting like a ridge on the end of a hose or a copper pipe to put a hose on. That's probably as fair as anything. Or for making two seams that meet together or something like that. But there we go. It's quite a nice thing, and it was given to me as scrap to melt down, and it seems too good for that, so we might hang on to it for a bit. If anyone's got a use for it and wants to swap it for something, let me know. I don't know, where are we with this? Got no idea really. Hey Nigel, good to see you. This is sort of a finished mock-up prototype wheel. It's not particularly rigid because it's plastic. I won't take a real pounding. I'm going to spin rivet, or whatever you want to call it, this hub, a brass hub, into the centre. So spin that over so it's riveted. I've got hollow rivets to go in here, which are pretty awesome. That's the front side and the back side. Some of them I've sort of half got them right. They need a little bit of work. Can we focus on that? Don't know if we can. Probably not. There is no focus. Sorry about that. Anyway, 4 of those and 8 spokes with a bit of taper in them. So that's sort of a finished look. These are at the... This file actually is at the sheet metal works being laser cut as we speak. So hopefully next week we'll have a few of these to make some wheels out of. The O-rings are 405, I think, is a standard profile. It's a bit thin, I think. I don't really... Feels a bit thin. Nigel Harding, g'day. Matt, yeah, there's a bit of inspiration in the Meccano 2-inch pulley and tyre. There's quite a lot of inspiration coming from there. But at this point, that's the easiest and quickest way to make them. So this O-ring's a bit narrow than I originally would have liked. This is 8mm section. I don't think you can get an 8mm section O-ring. I really looked pretty hard and had trouble with it. My O-ring guy had looked pretty hard and couldn't find it either. So this is 2.5 by 5/16 or something. 11/30 seconds, I think. It's 2.5 by 11/30 seconds. That sound right? Something like that. Anyway, it's about 7mm by 60, 63, 64. And that'll probably be alright. They're a good fit on those wheels. So if we can make the metal ones the same out of 1mm aluminium with a pressed up flange on them and rivet them together, they should make for pretty good wheels. The back ones have got a grub screw in them to attach the axle. But there we go. There's 10 minutes talking about wheels that no one really wanted to know about, but there we go. Stuff made here. I'll have to have a look at that, JB. So for a bit of contrast, these O-rings are available in white, and they're probably going to be powder coated red with a yellow body. I'm not sure yet. At this point, these will be powder coated anyway because it's the easy way to finish them, and I'll probably make the rest of it as a contrasting colour just in case we can't powder coat them. But that's final details a long way down the track. Got a couple of bases or bodies back from chassis back from Sheet Metal Works. Hey Stephen. Stephen likes the black tyres. Yeah, we'll see how it looks. veteran racing car. We'll see how it looks with black and white. We might mess around with that. We'll see what we can find. This is 1mm steel. I guess it's 1mm. It seems a bit light for 1mm. I guess that's what it is. I shouldn't need that. We did specify 1mm. And it's definitely 1mm steel. That's good. That's got a good feel to it. It's got slots here for tabs for the sheet metal work. They're in the wrong spot. There's a few issues here. These are too close to the edge. So when you bend this fold along the end, these buckle up. So there's no meat in there, and there's nothing to stop that sort of moving because there's space behind it. So these will have to move a bit further one this way and a bit further that way. Probably won't hurt because it'll give a much rounder body side when we do that. So this one's going 10-15mm this way, and this one's going probably 5-6mm this way. Because the back's in two pieces, so this one slots on here like this, and this one fits in here like this. There's about a 5mm overlap here, and these will have, this one here will have tabs bent at 90 degrees, and this one here will have slots. So when you put it together, the sheet metal piece fits over the top, and then just bend them over, and then that's the theory, and that should hold this nicely together and give you a nice rounded profile here. And these should be far enough back that it does that rather than being pointy in the middle and sticking out and sharp. So that's the theory. This is a pretty... Russell, that's an awesome idea. I like that. Maybe we'll think about it. Good to see you, Matt. It's good to see you, Stephen. That's awesome. No soapstone. We're going with wood. I've made a wooden block of this. There's a plastic one here somewhere, but this is wood. Right. We're going to probably drill this and tap it, and put either a threaded insert or something in there. Whether we might just put a GoPro bracket 3M sticky taped on the back of it or something, so we can stand it up and position it. That's where we need to do. So probably a piece of flex line and a piece of steel plate to go on the bench just to lock it in place for soldering. So the top piece goes on here. Which looks something like this. This sits on here and runs over the edge a little bit. And then the other piece wraps around, and it's going to be hammer finish around the back, around the side, I think, to hammer it down to make a seam around this edge to solder. This is going to have a slot in here, and I should have done this first, but I never. A hole in the slot. And then we can sit a piece of 3mm rod through here for to support the fenders or the mud guards on the front. And that'll go through two holes in the tin, and then when we lift it off, it'll still lift off, so there'll be a slot in the top here. This will have a bead round here. I'll grab the plastic one. There's the plastic one. A bead across here and across here for bonnet lines, and around here for strength. So this should be, when it's finished and with tabs to fasten it down on here, should be pretty solid, I think. Won't be as solid as the timber, but it's going to be plenty good, really. This one, I have a bead around here, and it's got a cap. This folds around here and is soldered at the back, and then it's got a cap on it. This is going to be a fun job, isn't it? It's got a cap on it that fits over the top, like a bottle lid, sort of. And then inside, don't know, I thought I had one marked out, but I probably don't. There's a seat panel comes down here with a right angle in it, and then a return on it, like just like that, which goes inside with seams sticking up so that we can just tack solder each side. So got that worked out. So that's where we're at with that. There's some issues with these tabs in the back, in the front here, because this goes over where the axle sits. Like the axle, I think, comes to probably there. In theory, it'd be nice if it did. It mostly doesn't need to. We'll see how solid it is. If we can get it a bit shorter in the middle, it'd be nice, but I don't think it's going to have the support. So probably we're going to make this with a washer on here, or we're going to put a washer in it, which is extra expense. I really don't like that. But that might be the best option, is to put a washer in between so that it clears these tabs when you bend them over for steering. So there we go. There's an overview. Craig, I think you're in charge of that bead roll or get ordered thing, so we'll wait till you... No pressure, but there we go. There's 1,000 different versions that you could do for this, and this is sort of that shape back. You could put a boat tail on it without any problems. You could put a round tank and a seat on it, which might be cool, like a buckboard style. They're all things that are versions. You could put like a round fender on here, or you could put a flat fender in the middle, or you could put like hex-shaped fenders. Or you could leave the fenders off. You could put curved fenders this way rather than flat fenders. There's 1,000 different options if you wanted to customize this. It wouldn't take much to do. So that's where we're at. This cutout here is for the clockwork motor. Now, going forward with that, I think I'm going to make the clockwork motor in-house for a couple of reasons. First is that I really don't want to be relying on bits from China and orders that don't turn up and an uncertain international economy for a major component for this if they go to market or go to Kickstarter or whatever. I don't want to do that. So it's probably easy, and the prototype anyway is going to have some circuit board standoffs, which are just 3mm hex, and a plate on each side, and the shaft runs through for the axle, which has a gear on it, and all that needs is a flat and a grub screw. The main one can be a press fit or an idle fit or a loose fit or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I had one here somewhere. This is sort of a 3D print of the secondary gear as it looks at the moment, and that just runs in the sheet metal on each side. So that's got its own space and everything, and like depth and everything. It's pretty adjustable until we get it fine-tuned with a 3D printer. This particular gear is nylon. Just take careful note of that. This is 3D printed nylon on my printer. It's not perfect, but it's not shabby. So we need to dry out some nylon. We need to get that sorted and have a bit more of a play with settings, but it's not shabby. That's nylon. So that's way strong enough. But eventually I'd like to get these made either out of brass or sintered or something like that. And if anyone knows any contacts in Australia who can do that, that would be awesome. They're available in China just as a part like that. You can do that without too many problems, but if we could get them here, that would be great. And then the final one has a click like a... This is testing you. Does anyone know what the click in a Ronson flint lighter looks like? Like a Ronson or a better quality button actuated cigarette lighter, like a fuel lighter. It has a flat plate with a click that's bent in, and the ratchet's in the side of the wheel, in this side here. So that's sort of what I've got envisaged for here, just to retain the spring, and then the spring goes on a hub in the centre, and it's got to have a bar or something to retain the other end, and that'll keep it wound up. But I don't think it's going to have a brake, and I don't think it at this stage it's not going to have a brake. Maybe that's something we can do. It's certainly not going to have a governor. Add more weight. Sorry, Mats. Going around. Hey, Ian. Good to see you. Just going back through. Joe says like a Zippo. Yeah, exactly like a Zippo. Try and keep it 100% Australian made. I'd really like that, but we'll see how we go. It certainly takes a lot of guesswork out of supply chains and things. So that's the thought. At this point, the prototype's going to be 3D printed, and we'll see how we go with the gears then. But I'd like... There's only 3 gear sets, like double gears, or one. There's a... We've got a glue bottle that's fallen over. Hang on, I'll grab the bits. These are mixed quality, actually. Let's tilt this over so you can actually see down here. Sorry, guys. That one didn't work. That's early nylon gear. This is the main drive sprocket or pinion. This runs through to the wheels. Pretty straightforward. It's probably going to have a grub screw or something in it. That's probably a pretty straightforward part and probably available off the shelf. I don't know. I don't want to spend 20 bucks each on them, but I don't want to buy them from China. I don't know if they're two things that you can actually reconcile, but we'll see how we go with it. Anyone's got any thoughts about how you can reconcile it, or anyone's got a CNC machine that needs some work, the right price, give us a quote on them. This one, the spring retains on with a catch here, and probably nylon, that's plenty good enough, but I'd like to see something a bit more solid than that. So realistically, this one also has a click in the back, or it will have. So that runs in there. That's the gear train as we see it. That's about all it is. If we put a brake on it, it's probably going to need an extra gear out here somewhere, but or another shaft, but probably off this side here, away from the spring, with probably the easiest way is just basically a tapered shoe or a tapered bush with a tapered piece to go over the top, or a ring to go over the top, and when you pull it sideways it locks it, and that would work as a brake. And then have a button. You could have a lever under the back to flick sideways to release it for racing or something like that if you want to buy more than 2 of them. or more than one of them. But that's probably a thought. That's something that's definitely achievable, but it all gets complicated. Clockwork motors. Are my thing, I guess. I'm comfortable with clockwork motors. I kind of know how they work and what's involved and what's needed, and this is second nature stuff. This is something I work with all day, every day. So I've got no problems at all with this. Making a clockwork motor is easy. The rest I'm sort of learning about. I'll look that up, Paul. To avoid soldering. Can I extend the tab principle to all parts to avoid soldering? Not really. I think the strength in this part is in soldering the seat and soldering this. I think if you put tabs all the way around with no soldering at all, it's going to be loose. And the bits are not going to... What you're going to find is that with this thin tin, you push it sideways, there's no reinforcement. So if you step on it or something, then it's all going to fall sideways. And I don't like that much. I've got high temp solder on its way. So that, the post system says will be here tomorrow. It actually left yesterday, so it shouldn't be far away. So we can do some experiments. Solder joints, what are they going to look like? What do we got here? Hang on. Bits. We had a bit of a mess with this. This is interesting. It's kind of something that I like. This one's a bit messy, but to give you some idea, between here and here is pretty good. And it's the first time after a long abstinence really on soft soldering. But that's the sort of seam or joint that we really want around the front of the radiator and around the back. If we can achieve that, it looks awesome. And it looks the part, and it's part of the whole aesthetic of the thing. And hopefully with high temp solder it'll take powder coat and it'll look amazing. Bit of solder residue and stuff, I mean that's easy cleaned up too there. But I think that would look really good, and that's a really nice strong joint that's right through there. So flat iron and some spirits of salts and some little bit of flux on the solder, and that just runs in there beautifully. So we've been experimenting with that, and that's just soft solder. I guess you would call it a wipe joint. This is sweated, this is really. So the parts are tinned. I've just tinned both parts very lightly and very quickly. Like it's seriously, it's a matter of sitting that piece on top of there and running around it with the soldering iron, tinning it, and probably this seam on here, we probably tin that before we fold it up, just run around it too. And then you just got to put them together. We'll make a clamp to go over there just to hold it in place. Run around it with the hot iron, and also got a solder run around the fender support here too, and get that done. And that should be enough strength when it cools off to hold all this together. And then it's clipped together here on the other piece, and it's got retainers down the bottom, so I think that'll be plenty good enough. Yes, RS is expensive. We'll address that, I guess. Thanks, Paddy. I'm hoping to get good enough that it's not a problem, but look, RS is expensive. On some things, yes, they're crazy expensive. Like on metals and things, they're like silly expensive. On the tin plate for these, they were actually the only people who had it, and they had it here in 2 days. And it was not really crazy expensive at all. It's more than I'd buy it on the coil for if I wanted to buy bulk, but with postage and everything, it was pretty damn good. And like free postage on these, but these were like, seriously, there's 20 of them, they were like 30 cents each. And quantities, if you buy quantities, they get cheaper. Oh, they come from Element 14 though. Yeah, okay, they come from Element 14, sorry. What else do I buy from RS? No idea. I think the rivets for the wheels come from from RS. They were about the same price as pop rivets from down the street, so I'm pretty happy with that. A little bit cheaper. Willem, don't buy silver steel. 16mm silver steel 1 meter for $75 is cheap. Okay. I don't think that's expensive. McEngineering Inc. G'day. But if you're in Australia and you're looking for silver steel, hales.com. Hales. There you go. There's a hot tip. Hi, hales.com. They're fantastic. They're in Melbourne or Sydney. Check them out. I'll be buying materials from them for Hales. They're great. I think it's .com.au actually, Craig, but yeah, Hales are good. So that's where we're at with that. It's taken up more of my time than I would really like. And I apologise for that, guys. I really do. Hales should freight. I would ask the question, Willem. Certainly would. Hales are pretty good. They're tool and die suppliers in Melbourne, so check them out. It's probably worth a look. Give them a call and see what they can do. I've never had any problems with Hales, and they're the best price on 01 in big range. But I wouldn't call $75 for even 75 US for a 16mm round meter length of 01 to be crazy expensive, to be honest. So yeah, got to put the time in on this and get prototypes up and running. Next thing will be wheels. Need to make a couple more of these again with the slots all in the right spot. That's a cutout there for hopefully the clockwork key, if you're wondering what that's for. According to my drawing, that should be in the right spot. We'll see. There's going to be a step bolt through the bottom, and probably, look, if I wanted to be really fancy, probably a Belleville washer and a star, like a star washer retainer on there, just to put it together. And that would probably be a half reasonable way to mount that up so that it's got enough tension to keep the steering locked and give way if you run over a bump or whatever. Well, still turn if you need to, and we'll see. But that's where I'm going with that, is just to make it, or to get a stud with a head on it to go in the main axle flat here, and just silver solder it in place when we silver solder the axle on, and then that's nice and solid, and it's a good job. Because if it's not and you hit a bump, something's going to bend, or an obstruction, that's the first thing that's going to bend. You've only got to hit something with the front wheels, and I'm not happy with that. So that sounds like a good solid way to do it. These tabs here, I'm not sure what to do about that, but probably it's going to have a spacer under here like a washer. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with that, and put that away now. It's got €23 cheap. Like, seriously, it's cheap. I think on eBay here you would find that a 300mm length might cost you $70. I don't know. I haven't really priced it that big, but that's what I'm sort of thinking. So that's what I've been messing with. Evenings and a little bit of a time at the weekend. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on this, to be honest. I've got the... Let's have a look at the next project. Let's move on. Sorry, guys. I've dribbled on about that for 40 minutes. I really didn't mean to do that. You're all sort of interested, but you're going to be really sick of it by the time it's going. I promise. So I'll try not to dribble too much about that. Now, mess with this all day Sunday. There you go. One Land Rover. This actually got grass in the tyres. You notice that it's got grass in the tyres, so it's obviously been for a run. Only in the dark and the rain the other night. I haven't actually really had any daylight running with it. I'd meant to, but it just hasn't happened. I don't think the suspension's hard enough yet. It doesn't seem to return as well as I would like, so I might crank that up yet. Didn't have to winch myself out. This winch works. Well, it doesn't work yet, but it will. I'll have a look at the winch, because this is a new addition. Right, this is a 100-pound fish line. Don't know how they measure that, because no one actually winches a 100-pound fish. Maybe they do, but probably not on this anyway. I did make an aluminium thimble for this, a winch drum, because the plastic one I didn't think was going to stand much, and I think that this winch now, it's all together, like it's got some big bolts holding it through to the chassis. I would be surprised if this winch didn't lift the whole car off the ground, like vertical. So it's pretty good sort of a system. It's got a little 100-to-1 5-volt motor in here with the gearbox, and these are on like 10 by 15 by 4mm ball races each side, so it's all pretty solid. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure about these hooks. I reckon these hooks are probably the weak spot. If you were to run this up around a tree on a pulley block and back on here, and stand on the car, I reckon the hooks is what bust. But there we go. That's what I think. This is a bit weedy. It looks like a Land Rover bumper bar. It looks like someone made it in a back sheet out of inch pipe, when really they should have made it out of 2-inch pipe and made a decent beefy job with it and put a side bar on it and all that sort of stuff. If I was making a bull bar for this, it wouldn't be like this. Put it that way. But it feels like a Land Rover. Well, and that's crazy. That's all that is crazy. So, haven't had to winch myself out yet. There's a few little hassles and teething problems with it. One is that for some reason this door comes open when the chassis flexes. Now, I believe that it's just not catching on this screw head, and that's all it does. It's got a Umbraco screw here, And this little door catch in this front here, I don't know if you can see that, it actually catches. I'm supposed to click over it, and I don't think it does, to be honest. So probably this screw could be swapped out for another one with a bigger head or something like that. So I'm still thinking about that. But it might be a Chinese screw by mistake, because the other one doesn't have the problem. So there we go. I put grills in the windows because everyone needs sort of stone rock protection, etc., etc., and very, very handy against natives with clubs and bows and arrows and things, I guess. Put a ladder on this side while I had the top off. It needed a ladder, I thought. Haven't got a roof rack on it yet. So no roof rack on it yet because my printer's not big enough. You could probably just lock the door. Thanks. Hey Jim, good to see ya. Thanks for joining in. Everyone else out there, this is the 34 of you watching. I haven't seen 34 of you in the chat. So yeah, you either watch it on the sofa or you're too shy. So join in, absolutely. So put drill in here. I actually put a tail light lens in the back of the window here. That was something that we never had before. I've modded this because I didn't really like what was in the back here. So there we go. Can you see that? Let's put something under the back axle here, under the diff. Give it a bit of height. Yeah. So I modded this and put the bulkhead off the pickup or the utility back in here with some modifications so the hardtop fits back on top. And I also modified the back so that, if anyone's interested in this, so that this back door, hinge door, fits nicely against it. That gives us a flat deck in there, and I've put like a parcel bar or a safety bar across the back there in the gap. So I modified that down and put it just for looks. In South Africa, riot protection might be what it is. Here it's just protection from those that live in the street. Hey Mike, good to see ya. Hope you're doing all right. So this is the battery compartment in under here. That's why that's got a bit of a gap in it. So I had to hook up a wire because the battery lead was a bit short. That was one of the problems. So we've made up battery wires, put in there. And pretty happy with that. So that was Sunday's work. Paul, where did we get the 3D model from? 3dsets.com. Go and check them out. I'm not going to give you a 3D model because I think anyone who's worked as hard as they have to get these models to this level, like, they're really fantastic, Paul. Like, you've got no idea. Look at these hinges. Four bolts in each one, or 5 bolts. Door catches are all separate, operating there. Tail light lenses are all separate. Proper glass in the windows, like no glue in it anyway. It's all just screwed together. It's a fairly expensive build by the time you do it. Check out 3dsets.com. They're in Czech Republic, something like that. They're in... This is a bizarre thing, right? This model's coming out of what, when I was a kid, used to be behind the Iron Curtain, right? The same place that Leningrad cameras come from, and weird two-stroke budget cars and larders and things like that come from. And no one even gave the engineering in those any credit. Like, and here we have those countries that are now kind of at the moment not at war. Well, how long that's going to last, I don't know. I guess it's still a little bit sort of scary and volatile. But producing designs like this for 3D printers and selling more than they can possibly imagine, and producing new ones every 12 months or so. There's a brand new one come out this week. Like Model 7 is a Volkswagen Beetle two-wheel drive dirt racer. It's a little bit more high-tech than this for sure, but it's nice. So it's interesting how things do it full circle. Yes, the Tatra was very advanced, but I'm not convinced it was a good automobile. You're going to need more than that to convince me. The 87 was absolutely crazy machine, to be honest. So, as far as this goes, it's a pretty nice machine. It's done a bit of work. Nothing's broken, which I'm impressed about. I think that depends a bit on your printer and your printing abilities, if I can say that. But everything underneath's working beautifully. It's all handling and standing up to some hard work. Oh, this is actual grass. I did get a bit of a wash, but was a bit sort of half-hearted, to be honest. In the middle of the night, the other night, I probably should go back and do that. But probably it wants a good run first. Look at that, that's terrible. So yeah, those days are long gone, but they're not that long gone. It's very interesting to watch. There's a really good documentary. If you've got time to watch a short documentary, there's a good documentary called Lomography. There you go. Lomography, which is about the whole cult classic plastic camera revolution thing that happened, and in the middle of it, communism sort of ceased to be in the USSR, and all of a sudden no one was making any money out of these plastic cameras that were selling so well. So it's really a fairly interesting watch. And nowadays Skoda's probably pretty good. I'll give them that. They're Volvo anyway. But they always used to make good machine tools, but realistically, I mean, the Czechs used to make amazing machine tools, TOS and Bruno and all that stuff that was amazing. However, cool cutting edge designs like this are not something we think about, and yet most of the small manufacturing and most of the places you look to for manufacturing guidelines in small lots efficiently are in Czech Republic or places like that, which is pretty cool actually. It's interesting. Yeah, look, $40 for the fans is great. Remember though, there's about 350 hours printing in this. There's I think at last count 360 screws, and they're all M2 and M3. These M2 by 6mm screws, I think there's well over a box and a half of them, so there's 150, 160 of them. Like, they're everywhere in it. These are the M2 by 10s. There's a lot of bigger ones, like this M3 by 20 in here that holds this together. And there's a lot of M3 stuff in the chassis. But realistically, if you're going to buy one model from them, you're going to end up buying the lot. Sorry, so just don't budget just for one, because you're going to buy the lot. This is the Model 3, and it's got the hardtop add-on and the Africa Trophy add-on as well, which is the winch and some other bits like the ladder and stuff too. It's also got these rock guards, which I think were free from their website. So pretty interesting. There's also some specialist stuff that friends have done or I've done. These Land Rover mud flaps aren't factory. There's a Facebook group with those sort of downloads in it. The interior in here, that blue whatever you want to call it in there, that's not factory. And the bar on top, that's my design. This plate in here to hold this and fit around the door isn't factory, that's my design. Apart from that, it's pretty well optioned. You can build it and get it awesome, but by the time you're finished, you're going to want to upgrade it. How heavy, JB, and how much, and where is it? That's the trouble. It's in Western Australia, so it's like a 10-day drive to get it. With a truck, obviously. Anyway, so this is up and running. If we turn this on, there's actually a... If we have a look here, I don't know if I can see in there. Have a look in this side. The new model I see has got all working door locks and things like that, so it's a little bit more complicated again. But this lifts up, and there's a switch in here to turn the receiver on. There we go, it goes beep. We can put that down and shut the doors. That's in the centre console. So it's nicely designed there. We've got radio, so seriously I'm not going to go far because the thing doesn't crawl particularly well with, but we have got steering. It's got a pretty good turning circle. It surprised me actually. I wasn't really expecting that, but it's got about a 4-foot turning circle, which is really pretty cool. I'm a bit impressed with that. And that's limit switch, so nothing touches. This is actually limited on the radio. It's set up right. It's a bit jerky there, but I'm tired. So probably we're working on getting that set up too. It's not a small workbench machine. Playing with trim there, that's not a good thing. But probably it'd turn around there all right. Anyway. Receiver first on, last off. Or transmitter first on, last off. That's the way this works. And we turn that off. But there we go. That's the Landy, and it's pretty well finished. So I will get some daylight running and publish another video at some point on this. So we'll get there. If you want to check out my other channel, Procrastination Nation, gives you some sort of a look at printing this and what's involved in it. So if you're interested, go and take a look at that. But check out the Facebook group. I think there's a link probably on the 3D Sets website. Check out their Instagram. There's 1,000 people building these, and it's a reliable, good motor. Like it's fantastic. But bear in mind that you're not going to build it for 40 bucks. If you got a radio and a brushed or brushless motor and a few of the electronic bits and stuff, it'll come down quite considerably. But there's a lot of screws in it and a lot of bits. Anyway, there I am. It's rain. Yes, it's raining. It's calmed down a bit here. We've had an inch this afternoon. I reckon probably 2 inches. It's wet. Needs an engine oil leak. Lights will happen. There's a mod for lights, and it means reprinting the inside of the guards, which is a bit of a hassle. But I have got these are specified for that. So it will happen. We've got the bits, but these are basically a reflector shroud for a standard LED. So they'll be headlights eventually. They go in there. We need to reprint these pieces in the middle, which means that the front end's got to come off it. It's a bit of a job. These are already got provision for LEDs, and at some point we'll do that. We need to put a light controller in it and a winch controller in it. So I would like, I've printed these in PETG, which is translucent. So at some point I would really like to put LEDs all the way around. But these have a space in them for square LEDs. There's a bit of work in that. And I'm not going to say this is finished, because we can do all those sort of things. It probably wants an interior light. It needs... You could spend a lot more money on it. But people are doing mods like this and getting really, really nice results out of it. Thanks, Tom. I really hope it doesn't rain all night. I really don't need that. How's it turn with the lock diffs, Massey says? Surprisingly good. Like, really good, actually. I'm really a little bit impressed with it. I don't know how it's going to perform on the pavement, and I'm probably not going to go out there and try it, because I reckon we'll wear out tyres pretty quick. But on the grass or on the dirt, it's amazing. Like, the thing handles pretty well. Radio and sat nav, they're all things I haven't done, and it's a bit of messing around to do so, but I haven't reprinted this dashboard the other way around for right hand drive, so that hasn't happened yet. This is still left hand drive. Craig, that will happen at some point, promise. It weighs about probably 5 or 6 kilo. It has windscreen wipers, but they don't work. Anyway, anyone who's interested in that, rattled on about that for a bit and didn't really mean to, but that's been out on the grass. It's pretty well running. I'm a little bit impressed with it as a model. it started life as a $40 kit, like a $40 set of drawings and files, which all printed remarkably well, like really well. There's 3-minute prints in this, and there's like 18-hour prints in this. So you need a decent printer, and it's got to be calibrated properly, and all that instructions in the build guide on how to calibrate your printer and how to get it so that it works and so your bearings all fit. The gearbox in underneath is a bit of a job. It's got a gearbox in under the seriously, it's got a gearbox under the transmission well there, which goes through, and that's all printed too. So everything on this is printed except the electric motor. Yes, there's a snowplow option, there's a half track option, there's all those sort of things. If you really want to build this thing, it could be a lifetime project with all the options and accessories. I don't like this bull bar. I think that's very, dare I say it, it's very 1990s English. Depression style engineering. To my mind, this wants to be beefed up quite a lot, and it wants, like, if I was going to build a bull bar for a Land Rover, I would do it a bit differently to that. I'm going to go there. It needs a rhubarb on it. It needs something that'll stop a camel if it's in Australia. You don't want something. I mean, this thing here is, what's it for? A fox? Brushing past pine trees. I don't know. What do you use a bull bar for in the UK? But seriously, that's not what it's for in Australia. So yeah, Willem said ARB. That's what it needs. Land Rover Girl too has an awesome channel rebuilding these things. If you want to look, she's pretty cool. People spend a lifetime rebuilding a real one. I've got this out of my system. I've got an RC car, and I'm really, really happy with it. Take care, Matt. It's good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Matthew's doing an awesome job on his. What a crazy project. He's working on that bit in there. This is like one of those, like, school nurse things, you know, show me where the man touched you, on the doll. But that's how it feels. But Matthew's working on this bit in here, and what a job, because there's nothing left of what he's got. Sorry, that appealed to me a bit, but there we go. Hey Paul, good to see ya. The bulkhead, yeah, it's this part in here, this here. Hopefully he gets it running at some point, but Matthew's a crazy guy anyway. He's just stark raving mad to start with. Helps. If anyone's watched his putting the shaper in its new workshop video, you'll discover very quickly, and that was a long time ago, but go back and check that out. The video about getting the shaper home is one of his first, and you'll realise that the guy's crazy. He's stark raving loony. Anyway, good on him. Love him to bits, but yeah, he's crazy. So can't sort of shout these guys out highly enough. 3dsets.com. They've been really helpful with build issues and things that I wasn't quite sure about. They've always been there on chat to talk to me. They've been pretty helpful. And they also periodically revise the drawings and designs as they get better. So it's a work in progress still. If you download one today, it's probably going to be a little bit different to this one as far as the way things fit together. But I know that the diffs and bottom end in this is a lot stronger than some of the early ones too. Craig says, yeah, dangling it over the stairwell, that sort of thing. Yeah, it was just a bit crazy. He's mad, that guy. Anyway, some mail. We got some mail too. If anyone's still there and hasn't completely browned off and fallen asleep. This one come from Tasmania. Huge thanks to Craig Marshall, Craig's Workshop, for sending this box. Really appreciate it. Come out of the blue, wasn't announced or anything. Just turned up and no real indication of what was in it. I knew he was sending a book, but I didn't know what it was. This is DA Lowe's heat engines. Haven't got it. I've looked at it a few times and thought I needed it. Fairly interesting book. Thanks heaps, Craig, for sending this. That's awesome. So I'm going to show that off a bit. But this is a pretty nice book. If anyone wants any details or drawings or something out of this, I can probably scan them. Or know what a big end or a Dubner or something looks like for your engine, hit me up, because this is an awesome book on that sort of thing. It's all there. So bit of a score. Haven't put in the bookcase yet. I might have to touch the dust cover up a bit before I do, I think. But this is, I guess it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more authoritarian than, say, a correspondence school textbook, but same sort of information, and pretty good book. I've spent a little bit of time reading it, so I'm a little bit impressed with that. So huge thanks, Craig. Huge thanks. That's awesome. Russell's out. Thanks, Russell. Yeah, Maddie, it's 32 still here too, but it's raining. So that was something that come. That's pretty awesome. We got Anne. G'day. I'm glad you said hi. I get messages occasionally, people saying, Russell did too, but Russell's gone. I meant to say that. Russell sent a message and saying, I don't like to join in. I'm not a YouTube creator. Who cares? We'd like to meet you and like to know what you're up to. So hit us up. A good tip if you want to share pictures on live stream, upload them somewhere, Flickr or Facebook, or probably not Facebook, but Discord's really good, but somewhere on a website, and share us a link with us, because we'd love to see. 32 still watching. Okay. 31 now. 19 likes. Pretty poor. Images probably all right too. But yeah, happy to have a look. But don't think for a minute that you shouldn't comment, because I really appreciate anyone who jumps in and says hi. These creative guys, they could be taken down a peg or two. So if you're doing cool stuff, show us. Don't worry too much about them. You hit the like, Jim says. That's right. Friend sent me this link, right, on eBay, which is a stupid thing to do. Don't ever send me a link on eBay, honestly. Because if it's local and it's cheap, I ended up being tempted with stuff. This is Model Mechanics magazine. It was a map magazine that rivaled Model Engineer with a was sort of a crossover somewhere between Model Railroader and Aero Modeler and Model Engineer, a bit of everything, I guess, in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. These ones didn't run for a whole long time, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just the market was already saturated and no one wanted another magazine with everything in it. But there's some pretty cool stuff in here. 11C is quite nice. I bet it's 30 here still. But these are awesome. So pretty cool, and it's 40-year-old technology, a lot of it too. So 1980, that is 40 years ago. Don't go there, but it is 40 years ago. So there's a lot of tethered cars and slot cars and radio controlled stock cars, things like that we don't see anymore because realistically the electrics have taken over. I mean, we just don't see like electric, we don't see petrol tethered cars like that anymore. And they were dying out when this was made. But it covers a lot of stuff and there's some pretty cool stuff in it. So they're worth grabbing if you can find them at the right price. I apologise for anyone else who was looking at them too, but they were buy it now and I got them pretty cheap. There's a few missing. So they come today actually. Saw them today. They're pretty cool. I haven't really sat down and had much of a look at them, but that's going to be at some point during the weekend. I'm going to do that. There we go. Another thing that happened this last weekend, and I wasn't going to say too much about this, and I won't, but had a friend that I was spending a fair bit of time with, and we sort of decided to call that a day. So I'm kind of, when I started live stream tonight, which was way too long ago, and I'm sorry about that, I really wasn't particularly keen on doing it. So thanks heaps for everyone for sort of being there and interacting and getting some cool conversation going and getting me enthusiastic about projects, because I really wasn't feeling it this last weekend. So that's why there's nothing happening on the Stuart 400. Now, it's like the elephant in the room, isn't it? Really, there's an elephant in the room, and it's only like a outhouse toilet. You know, you can't actually get round it, but everyone's a bit scared to sort of talk to it or let anyone know it's there because they might get the job of moving it. So the Stuart 400, I have made some progress. Right, I found a piece of aluminium, look at that, to make a 5-pronged starting attachment for the electric drill. Right, didn't know how to grip this, and I really wasn't sure whether I needed to do it in the rotary table, and then my rotary table doesn't fit my mill properly, and I'm not real happy with that. So Craig suggested today to use a DRO, and I'd forgotten I even had that. So we're going to set this up with a DRO and drill 5 holes in it, make a video out of it, I think. Make this sorted. I've got to get the camera back on because I've been a bit shy with that and a bit over it, to be honest, the last couple of months, and I really apologise for that. Anyway, it's going to have a arm out the back screwed in with a bit of Loctite for going the drill, and five arms here with plastic tube on them, so that should work. Also found a tuna bottle or a jar of tuna with a jar about the right size for a fuel tank, so, and a tin lid that I can solder to. So as soon as I eat the tuna, we're going to make a proper fuel tank for it. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Anyway, that's cool. Apart from that, not sure there's a lot of... Oh, look, here's another thing I bought. I'm a bit impressed about this. Look at this. Paul was like, eat tuna. Yeah, that was seemed to be the jar that was about the best size, and I did have a bit of a look for a bit. Look at this. Look at this. Woo! 2 new wire brushes. This was capital expenditure because for the last 2 years I've had one with no bristles, more or less. It's just a block of wood with 4 bristles sticking out of it, and it's a bit ordinary, to be honest. And every time I go somewhere where they have wire brushes, I always forget about it. Anyway, I've got 2 new wire brushes, and they look all right. Got nice long soft sparkles. So that's what we've done. What else is happening? What else is happening? Got that one out of the way. Anyway, the tuna looks pretty good too. It was fairly expensive in jars like that and brine, but anyway, it's the right size jar for the tank, so that's good. JB's going to start. Ian might have... You might be onto a winner here. Ian, you might be onto a winner. We'll think about that. JB's going to start the rebuild on the Unimat. That's awesome. Maddie's building the spindle. That's great. Go and check that out. The video's good. It's up. Maddie's videos are always good, but interested to see where that goes. It's pretty exciting. And he's doing some precision work there, so a bit of a learning curve, I reckon, for anyone. Bearings are turned up. That's excellent, Maddie. Maddie's got a nice lathe too, for sure. Absolutely. But looks like you're getting it sorted. Heron's got some good videos coming out, and check them out. Some casting videos, they're well worth a look. I did watch a couple, didn't leave a comment because I was asleep on the sofa by the time they finished. Now, no, this isn't when this happens, and I say this sometimes, but it's not a reflection on the videos. Don't take it personally. It's a reflection on how tired I am when I finally get to watching YouTube videos, and that's not a good thing. So I did watch a few videos this last weekend and really enjoyed them. I got caught up on a lot of stuff. But realistically, if I go and watch a YouTube video now, I'll be asleep an hour, so I might as well just go to bed. It's easier. So, this bench on Sunday morning was clean. Please believe that. I was really a bit impressed with the cleanliness of the bench. Everything was put away. Didn't last long, sorry. Anyway, we're an hour and a half nearly, which is crazy. I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking about a half hour I'd pull it up tonight. Thanks heaps for tuning in, everyone. I really appreciate that. Really good to catch up with everyone, see what's happening. Anyone who's looking for YouTube to watch that's not like big three stuff that they've already seen, click on any of the guys in the chat just about, and you'll find they've got some videos, or they'll have a like list that's got something worth watching in. So 2 or 3 clicks from anyone's name in this chat when you're watching this video pack, and you've got some good videos to watch, a list of them. So remember that. It's also pretty dusty because I've done a fair bit of woodwork. Like this was laminated up out of solid and then machined up or sanded up to match the profile. And I think it's pretty good. It's not too far off centre or anything. I'm fairly happy with that. And that's probably how the real one. Yeah, go and kick the door in at Discord. We'd love to see you. This is probably how I haven't even touched on the sheet metal work for this, so next week we might have some prototypes to look at. That's cool. Anyway, I'm going to sign out. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Awesome to see you all. Keep well. Keep safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And more soon, guys and girls. Be kind to each other in particular. Be kind to me. So we'll catch you. I'll be on Discord for a little while I have some dinner. I'm out.